All right. Hey guys, we are live on Facebook. My name is Dr. Nick Barnes, and I have one of my good friends here, Ryan Himmel. He's a patient in our clinic, and he's just doing some amazing things for the Lord. And just in talking a couple months ago, I had found and heard that he was an author, and I just thought that was awesome. And so he gifted us his book and the whole team, and it's been awesome read. Highly recommend it to you guys. And so I wanted to bring him on here just to give you guys just another positive voice when it comes to hope, not just about health and healing, but just hope in the culture where we may forget about that there actually is positive things happening out there. And so I wanted to bring him on just because I think this time is perfect for this. His book is all about overcoming fear and not being a victim anymore, but being a victor over situations. And it was just an awesome read, man. So good work on that. And before we jump into some more of the content, I just want to, share some context behind why we're doing this video. Over the last 6 to 8 weeks, there's been fear, anxiety, worry. There's been angst. There's been financial collapse in some people's lives. There's been relational collapses in some people's lives, and all based off of this invisible enemy called this COVID-19. And it's pretty much taken over the media waves, and I would say it's affected every single person in some way, shape, or form. And so our heart goes out to the people who've lost loved ones from COVID-19, who currently have it, who are fighting it. My heart goes out to the people who are fearful from it. But at the same time is that we've realized over the last week or so what really is important, and that is humanity, and that is loving one another, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your occupation, regardless if you believe in COVID-19 or not. And what's interesting is that the media has really changed its story the last week. They've really very, very few and far between comments about COVID-19. I'm seeing people take off their masks. I'm seeing people take off their gloves and hug each other once again, high five people, handshakes, because we're realizing that that what really happened in Minnesota, the murder that happened in Minnesota, woke people up a little bit. It shook people up, and I think it's we're coming from a place for both of us to where our heart breaks for people who've had to suffer for, let's just say, hundreds of years, right? And I just want you guys to know that we can't speak for you because we've never lived in your shoes, and that's for anybody who's had discrimination against them. So our heart breaks for you, and that we hear you, we see you, we love you, and we hope this touches everyone's life. And so, Ryan, I guess bringing us in here, man. I guess share with everybody like what you do currently for work, and really how this got put on your heart, because obviously it's a God thing for sure, but how this all came about, because I think people need to hear the backstory, the why behind just the how.
Yeah. Well, the book came about a few years ago. It's really, all based on fear, like you said, on overcoming fear, which I think now is like the perfect time to really dive into investing in yourself to overcome that fear. But the idea came, and I was actually at my church, and I was cleaning. Like, I had a vacuum, and I'm just cleaning. I had headphones in. I'm listening to music, and out of nowhere, like, this idea for a book came, and I don't even think I turned off the vacuum. Like, I think it was still running, and I pulled out my phone, and I started. I wrote down all the chapters right there, like all the titles.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's how it all came about. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's one thing too, I'll say, is serve in your church, because that's where God ideas can come from.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where the first thought came about, and then after that I was kind of like, what do I do now? Like, I've never written a book. I've never really thought about it. But over the next months, probably about a year or two, I think it took about 2 years to really finalize it. But I'm a big perfectionist, and the thought of like making it perfect was so, like, it was just right there. But I got it done, and I pushed through, and
there you go.
And it's a good read.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'll tell you that it's interesting that you sat down in one setting and wrote all the chapters, because I've been in the process of writing a book now for going on, let's say 9 months or longer. And it's there, I try to get in about 5 to 10 minutes a day, but it's interesting how you just get in those flows, right? Where it's just led by the Spirit and you're writing things down and it's go, go, go. So that's incredible, man. So what have you kind of seen? How has this blossomed into reaching more people? And I'm sure you have some testimonies of people's lives being changed just by reading this book.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a huge blessing. It's definitely not for me. What I really liked about it is it was never like a money maker type thing. It's not like I'm gonna write this book and I'm gonna sell millions of copies. But honestly, I think I may have given probably the same amount away as I've actually sold. So that's where I know for myself in my heart that this is definitely like a God thing because like I said, it's not really about the money, but I've had many of people. I've had people stop me and just talk to me about tough times that they're going through and like this, that, and the other, and to be able to give them a book and like it just means so much to them. Whether they read it or not, that action there was means a lot to them. So I've definitely heard a lot of testimonies through it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And where can people pick up your book?
They can the main source would be at my website at ryanhimmel.com. So
awesome. And that's going on the bottom of the screen there so everyone can see that.
Okay.
So that's good. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
I saw it on Amazon too, right?
It is on Amazon. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely trying to promote it there and get some good reviews because I think people need to learn, how they can overcome fear. So
that's good. And then one of the things too you created, I guess, in conjunction and parallel with this was the podcast. So tell us a little bit about that. What's that? What's the underlying foundation of the podcast and how did that come about?
Yeah, the podcast, that was another thing where I'm a perfectionist. So I really wanted to start it in January of this year. So and I did. I
nice.
It comes out on the 1st of every month.
Nice.
So I started there, and to be honest, I wasn't pleased with the first episode. But I had to start somewhere, and like I knew I was gonna grow each month. So
that's right.
I think the first one, recording it, talking into my phone, and then every month I'm like getting more equipment and stuff like that to make it better. But actually, I think it goes back to because I grew up as a performer, a juggler.
Okay.
So I was in performing arts and I was doing so much with that. Like I was doing events and stuff. And then out of nowhere, that's when God kind of switched it around and said, like, you're using your physical talent, but like you also have a voice. And I was like, So that's when I really dove into some speaking stuff around. And that's where the book came from. And then, of course, where the podcast came from as well. So I'm really hoping to use my voice and hopefully someone's willing to listen and see what we can learn together. So
that's awesome. And they can find that on iTunes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
On, Apple, Google, Spotify, and those are the 3 big ones. So
nice. Well, I'll tell you, man, you're an inspiration to me just knowing how well written your book is and the fact that you said you were going to do a podcast in January. You did it. That's been on my list for a while. And candidly, as we talked about before this recording, I'm like, man, you guys sit down with me and teach me how to put this all together because it's one thing. It's one thing to have content, and it's the other thing to deliver the content to the masses of people. And so I feel like just like where you're at, and I guess tell some people like personally, like you're about to enter a whole new season of life, right? Right? Which is what? When's your wedding? When are you guys getting married?
It's June 27th. So
crazy.
We are very close, and we're just putting the final touches on things and making sure my suit fits right, and people will be there. So
that's good, man. That's good. And now you guys had to go through a little controversy there when it comes to like, because wasn't your original date was in April, right? That the original? Okay. So you're one of the weddings, I guess would say, that was affected by just a shutdown, right?
It was, yeah. So that was, we were of course looking forward to it in April, and I don't think that excitement has really gone away. I think we're still we're still extremely excited about it, in June. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that, I mean, your mindset, your wife, your fiance's mindset, like the whole family, because I know a lot of the family's mindset was just incredible through that when they could have thrown a tantrum or gone bridezilla on us on you, I guess I would say. She did it. I mean, so that's amazing. So that's just a testament to you guys and who you are, and realizing that we can't control everything; it's in God's hands. And so I think that's just incredible. And so so you're a whole new season coming in. And I just think this is a perfect time. The context behind the book, context behind your personal life, just exploding to the next level. And for the podcast, I think it's just huge in times such as this. So I guess explain to me, like, because I'm sure being the author of your book about fear and overcoming fear, how have you seen that like really come to light in times of COVID and in times of just the injustice that's currently happening now and for years, of course?
Yeah. This book, like Overcoming Fear, it's definitely spoken to me. So like, yeah, I wrote it for other people, but the stuff in it is also for me. It's stuff that I can take away from my own book, which is amazing. But I think the biggest thing, it definitely has helped me through this time, because obviously, there's so much fear going around. Like it's everywhere we look. Someone is afraid of something.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing is, I think the biggest thing when I think of fear is I think of a very popular story, not just in like the Christian world, but in the secular world, is David and Goliath.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty common one, but David had a real opportunity to be scared. Like he could have been extremely scared, but the cool thing is I think that God knew that, or David knew that the God behind him was greater than the giant that was in front of him. And I think that's what we have to remember now, is that we have a much greater force on our side than anything that's going on right now. So
and I think that comes back to just like what's in our heart, what's in our mind, whose are we, where are we, what are we doing? I mean, being intentional, being present, because I'll be honest with you, I mean, if you have the media on, whether it's the radio or the TV, or you're watching your updates on your phone, like it's concerning, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you, the other day when I was leaving work, I got the alerts on my phone saying that don't go to Brentwood, don't go to Brentwood, don't go to Brentwood. And so, everyone's blood pressure kind of rises a little bit, right? Because you look at the Target and there's like 500 people outside of Target or more, and you're like, automatically it takes away my joy. It took away, a lot of things that I was going to do. I was thinking about, what about Brentwood? What about Brentwood? What's going to happen here? And so I think we got to protect our mind, and it's the renewing of the mind, right? Romans 12:2, renewing of the mind every single day and every single millisecond, and understanding that we're going to be Davids against Goliath in this culture, and that's why I think that if we know what the average person is doing in our culture, unfortunately, I think they're just relying on media for all the answers and how they're going to act and what they're going to think or believe. And we know just right now there's a lack of God in our culture, and so I think we got to step back and say, listen, what's going to drive our thoughts? What's going to drive our heart? What's going to drive our actions? And where are we going to sit? Where are we going to stay? And so I think this book just does a great job of removing the fear from people's lives. We got to validate there can be fears out there. Don't get me wrong, but I think we got to step back and say, okay, well, is it a real fear? What's your perception? Because at the end of the day, our perception is our current reality. And what are we willing to change to approach the situation differently, right? And so, I changed my mindset when I saw that after a couple hours. I was like, oh, well, that's awesome that they're a peaceful protesting out there. I'm so glad there's so many people there. People are waking up. But at first, you kind of get into that anxiousness, that worry, like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen, right? And I think some people live for that. And that's a huge concern that I have, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, man, I mean, do you want to, I guess, the podcast is awesome. Upgrade podcast, The Limit. What are you hitting on up on the podcast? Are you doing just like current events, or, is it more, of course, Christ-centered, but is there anything else that you're hitting on there?
Yeah, so there's it's pretty different for the most part every month.
Yeah.
But it's really about like personal growth. It's
Love
it's
it.
Upgrade, because I think we should all upgrade our life. At least 1% every single day. So that's my overall goal with that, is to help people upgrade. I mean, there is a podcast on fear. There's a podcast on being positive. So
Yeah.
but it's good. We're like 6 months in now, so
It's awesome, man.
I
So
can't wait to
good.
see where it goes.
That's good, man. Dude, I gotta acknowledge you, man, just for because how old, you're young, right? How old are you?
25.
Come on, man. 25. Shoot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. So I acknowledge you for just listening to what the Lord's put on your heart and taking action. It's awesome. And I know you guys are going to be super blessed in your marriage. And so just keep rocking and rolling, man. Is there any final things you want to leave with everybody, especially in times like this?
I mean, thing is, stay positive. Like, everybody's negative around you, but I mean, just keep staying positive. For anybody watching this, like, that's something I've had to go through with the people I've been in contact with. It's just they want to see you negative. Like, they're negative and they don't like it when you're not negative. So, but just keep staying positive.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, everybody watching this, either live or the recording of this, make sure you share this with everybody you love and care about. I just want to let you know that that we're trying to be counterculture with the information that we're putting out there, just because we want to be different, and I think everyone needs that. And so continue to upgrade your life 1% better every day, every moment. I think it's the recognition of that and being intentional about it is going to get you where you want to be. And as I said earlier, our heart goes out to everybody who is currently in the midst of just the craziness that's happening in our culture, whether it's fear or maybe we're seeing some amazing things happen from the peaceful protesting. That's incredible. Lives changing, people hugging each other. I mean, incredible. So just look for the good stuff because it's there. But our heart still goes out to you guys and to everyone who's involved. We're praying for you, and we just hope that this video finds you well and that it changes your day. All right. So that being said, share this with everybody you love and care about. Follow us on go to ryanhimmel.com, go to drnickbarnes.com. We're just always going to keep you up to date with some great stuff. All right. Have an awesome day. See you guys.